Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting ICPS webinar. This month's theme is Behind the Scenes with Pearl River Exotics, which is a carnivorous plant nursery located in New Mexico. And on this screen, you can see some of their beautiful nepenthes. The International Carnivorous Plants Society's website, our public website, is carnivousplants.org. And this year, 2024, in May, we are going to be having a conference at the Schönbrunn Palace in Vienna, Austria. We hope you guys can join us. Last year in 2023, we were in Himeji, Japan, and we had over 120 attendees. And the best part about these conferences is that you get to be with like-minded individuals. So the presentations, there's 2 or 3 days of presentations typically, and they're great, but they're formal. The really best part of attending a conference is the breakfast, the lunch, the dinners, the late nights, just talking to people from all over the world about carnivorous plants and how to grow them and what they're doing in the wild. And people shared their field trip experiences with seeing carnivorous plants in the wild. And it's just really fun to catch up with people from all over the world. The 14th International Carnivorous Plant Conference is going to be, the presentations are May 24th through to the 26th, but after that, there's a couple of days of field trips. And the conference is being sponsored by the German-speaking Carnivorous Plant Society. If you go to our website, carnivorousplants.org, you can see a link to learn more about that conference. And it also links you to the German-speaking Carnivorous Plant Society's conference, where you can get details in English and in German. All of the presentations, except for one, will be in English. And there's going to be lots of great stuff. The International Carnivorous Plant Society is a group of paid members who get lots of different benefits. One of them is that they get to attend these webinars. As you see, we have a couple of webinars coming up for the spring, and we'll have more on the roster very soon. In a couple of weeks, we have a webinar about the evolution of carnivorous plants. And then in March, we have the United States Botanical Gardens nurserymen talking about some rarer carnivorous plants. And then in April, Fly Trap Store is going to be talking about all of their beautiful fly traps and breeding program. If you go to our website or on our social media or on our YouTube page, you will see that we have 5 animated videos that are perfect for school-age children and people who are getting into the hobby. We have videos about how to feed a Venus flytrap by hand. We also have videos about growing plants inside, outside, in bogs, and lots of great stuff there. To accompany those videos, we have some worksheets and activity sheets that people at home and teachers are welcome to use and download for free. On the first Wednesday in May, every year is World Carnivorous Plant Day. The first one was a couple of years ago. And if you go to our Facebook or our YouTube channel, you will see there are dozens and dozens of videos posted on the first Wednesday of May each year about carnivorous plant conservation and conservation. If you want to help sponsor our not-for-profit organization and our education and our conservation initiatives, you can consider becoming a member. To join our society, you can go to icps.clubexpress.com. You can be an e-member, or you could be a regular member where you get these beautiful print quarterly magazines. Another benefit of being a member is that we have a seed bank where you can order carnivorous plant seeds for relatively cheap. We are able to ship to most countries, and our seed bank is only as good as what our members make it. So if you have surplus seeds, please consider donating them to our seed bank. if you become a member, you're helping support our Carnivores in the Classroom grant, where we allow $150 worth of plants to be sent to 50 teachers all over the world. The grant period is August 1st through August 31st every year. This is our 4th year, I believe, doing it. And if you think it's valuable to have young people interact with carnivorous plants, please consider donating. This past year, these are the nurseries that donated to our Carnivores in the Classroom grant. And as you see, I am wearing my favorite Nepenthes by Calcarata. It's on a t-shirt. And if you go to our online store, which is drop shipping, which means you could be anywhere in the world, and they will print these beautiful tote bags, mugs, t-shirts with lots of really interesting plants on there. We have pinguiculas, we have Sarracenia, Nepenthes, we even have bladderworts, we have Utricularia inflata on there. We have Aldrovanda, and you can get this year's 2024 World Carnivorous Plant Day logo on a mug, a t-shirt, a tote bag, a notebook. And all of those proceeds go to our conservation and education initiatives. And because it's the first Wednesday of May every year, the date changes this year, 2024. World Carnivorous Plant Day is going to be on May 1st.
I figured what I'd do first is kind of give a brief overview of the greenhouse and kind of our systems and the layout of the greenhouse. So I will head back to the front and I'll flip y'all around.
Perfect.
So Ashley is here working with me also today, so you may hear her in the background as well. But let's see if I can get it flipped around. There we go. Okay, so whenever you come in the greenhouse, this is your view. So we have one main aisle going down the center. This is the south side of the greenhouse, so we get the most sun here. So we try to have our plants laid out kind of by the plants that like the most light, the most heat on this side, and then it kind of moves back in a gradient. So we have most of our collection plants hanging up right now, and we have a few water trays. We're working on doing some divisions of heliumphora, and then we'll be tackling the Sarracenia here in a bit. I'm converting our pings and utricularia and things like that into tray systems so that we have a little bit more space, because as you guys can see, we have kind of maxed out the space in here. But then as we come back here to the back corner, we have our wet wall, which is currently off right now, just because it stays so cool here during the winter. The window doesn't really open. But we will need to turn that back on and get it all cleaned up and ready for the spring and summer here in just a minute. And then we have our RO system, our control panel, our tank, which is empty. Ashley just scrubbed this out because we need to paint it. It grows some algae from time to time. And we have a nice irrigation system that we use for all of the collection plants. Trying to think what else. We also have several circulation fans, but I have those turned off so that you guys can hear me, because they are pretty loud. But in terms of systems and things, that's kind of the like quick and dirty version. Like I said, we've got, our RO system, the control panel. We have a misting system. And then in the warmer months, we've got our 2 exhaust fans back there on the opposite side from the evaporative cool wall. And yeah, that's pretty much the quick version. I want to leave as much time as I can to show you guys plants, but if anybody has any specific questions, I will be more than happy to answer.
Yes, so there's a couple of questions, and we can ask them now, and maybe we're going to mention them. So, can you talk to us about the difference for pot color? Because the hanging pots are white,
Yes.
and then you have black pots. So what are the
Yes.
pros and cons, or why did you decide?
So we use the white hydrofarm pots for most of our collection, just because we kind of started that when we lived in Georgia, because we really struggled with keeping our greenhouse cool enough there because it wasn't uncommon for us to have 100+ degree days there. And so that just kind of carried over here. But our thinking behind using the white pots is that it allows us to keep the soil temperature cooler versus using a black or darker pot. And then whereas our, like the plants we sell, they come in these green pots, or we use these green pots rather. And the reason we like these is because they have that nice open bottom. They're technically an orchid pot. And so that's why we like those, because for smaller plants, we found that it doesn't really matter quite as much. But the airflow matters a lot. And that's very important. So that's one of the reasons why we prioritize the pots that we do.
And when do you know when to upgrade a Nepenthes, like repot it?
Yeah. So we try to repot everything at least within a 2-year time frame. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes we're a little bit later than that, but like we did just go through and repot pretty much our entire collection. Um, and like I said, we tend to recommend that people repot within, a year to 2 years, generally because that gives the plant enough time in your conditions to develop a nice root system, and a root system that probably needs to be upsized. Like one of the big projects that we're going to have is our big Rob Cantley here needs to be upsized, but that's a 12-inch pot, so I'm not sure what size pot we're going to go with. But that it definitely needs a repot. So
All right, so Dragon's Rule asks, if you have ultra highland Nepenthes, how do you reduce the nighttime temperature while keeping the humidity high?
So there are several ways that you can do that. One of the easiest, cheapest ways that we have found for like someone who's growing in their house, right? Like say you have an apartment, a dorm room, whatever, your methods are going to be a lot more limited. And so one of the things that you can do is set up a terrarium with a false bottom and have water that is in that bottom. And if you want to freeze water bottles, you can, and put them in that water so that it gives it that chilled effect, and just have a fan that runs over the water. And that is going to give you a little bit of evaporation and evaporative cooling. So that is the cheapest, easiest, like min running way to do that. You can get a lot more advanced. I know there are a lot of people who grow in like old coolers. We in Georgia, we used to have a big ice cream chest that we converted, and we grew a lot of our ultra highland plants in there. But we have not done that here. Here, everything grows in the greenhouse. So, but those are the two of the main ways, and like I said, one of the easiest ways to achieve that temperature drop.
All right, there's a couple of questions about Brocchinia, and
Okay.
Jacob would like to know if you still have that big truncata pitcher. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
let you give us like a 5 to 10 minute show us around,
Okay.
and then
I'll
we'll
show
get more
you.
questions to you.
I'll show you some of the things that I feel like are most notable.
Okay,
So,
very
all
good.
right. Let's see. Okay, so we do have the big truncata pitcher still here. Let's see. I'm gonna steal the paper towel roll so I can show you guys just how big it is. So it is it's pretty big. This one was actually, funnily enough, if you've been following our page, we found it when Jeremiah Harris came to visit, and it was just tucked in here with all of our other truncata. and what's hiding back in this area. So we do have several large seed-grown truncata, and there's a lot of variation. They have lost most of their pictures just recently. So I'm waiting to open, but some of them have. Some of them are solid green. This one has stripes and then turns into a really deep red color with age. And we also have a few more truncata up there that are seed grown as well. And then someone asked about the Burkinia reducta. So this is one of our large Burkinia reducta. You can see it has several pups that I need to divide and that kind of thing. So we just divide them off as they grow. Like I said, I'm a little bit behind on dividing this one off, but we did have another one here that has some smaller little pups there. And I have a few up here that I've divided off as well. Now, let's see. What do I want to show you guys next? Ooh, okay. So this is one of our mollusks. This picture just opened up today. Hopefully you guys can see that well. And it's got another one on the back side that will be opening in the next few days. And then right next to that, we have a seed-grown mollusk also. And this one will also be opening here shortly. Those are definitely two of my favorite plants in the greenhouse. And this one is one that I sent a picture of. This is our Rob Cantley crossovata. So this is a single selected clone from Borneo Exotics. And it's really pretty. There's the newest picture on it. And then probably one of our most iconic things as of the recent few months, this is our Palaminensis. So that's the biggest, newest picture. There's a little bit of an older picture. Let me get up on the ladder without crashing. But you can see it's nice and healthy. It's got a pretty large basil right now that also has an adorable picture. And we have been growing this in Akadama and pumice, and that has worked really well for us. We also have some small ones in our cocoa chip mix. So I'm not sure that the Akadama makes a huge difference or what, but it has definitely worked well for us. And then immediately right next to that, we have a bunch of spectabilis. So these guys just flowered for me. We did have male and female, but unfortunately I was late and didn't get to make seeds ourselves, but we did send some pollen off to make a horticultural spectabilis. So.
All right, Hannah, you got a couple of questions, and it's
Okay.
all and they're all relevant.
Yes.
All right, Josh would like to know, what is your Nepenthes soil recipe mix, and is it the same or different for different species and hybrids? So do you have a universal one, or are you making them special?
So we do have a more universal mix, and I can actually show that to you guys, I think. See if I can get a little bit. Okay, so this mix is dry right now, but let me flip you guys around and I'll show you. So this is our universal mix. It's cooked chips, a little bit of cooked peat or peat moss, whichever we happen to have on hand, and a lot of perlite. So that is the mix that we use pretty much for everything. And we wash the chips and it's worked really well for us. We like it a lot. We officially made the switch it was either in 2020 or 2021. We had tested it out before and had good success. But then with the sphagnum moss shortage during all the height of COVID and stuff, we decided to pull the trigger and go ahead and switch everything to that mix because sphagnum moss was hard to get a hold of and, was getting more expensive, that kind of thing. And we feel like the cocoa chips do just as good of a job. They work really well in our conditions um, and it was cheaper and it's a little bit more sustainable. So that, because of all those reasons, we've made the switch and we have grown everything in here in it. And it, like I said, it's worked really well and it's really easy to make it. You can make it more airy by adding more chips or more perlite, or you can make it retain more moisture by adding more peat. And so that has worked well for us. So, and then we do have a few things that we have like special mixes for, like the palomonensis that's in the Akadama and pumice. But like I said, I don't know that that's really necessary for it to be in that. Like, I think it would do just as fine in the cocoa chip mix. So.
And then Demi asks, you were mentioning the seed grown truncatas. Where did those seeds come from? And how old are those plants?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Dalton, who's unfortunately not here right now. But I'll have to ask him where they came from because he had those. He either got them right after I started working for Pearl River Exotics or before. So those were some of his personal like collection plants from the beginning. So we've had those plants for probably 7 years for the most part. Most of them, like the really big one. And then there are some other ones that I think we've kind of gotten along the way from different nurseries and things. So.
And do you sell them and you keep the ones that don't sell, or are you purposefully keeping certain ones for your breeding stock?
It's kind of a mix. So most of our collection is stuff that we've gotten in imports and then we just selected one to keep. And so that's how, right? Like that's how we have this collection is we have done that, periodically over the last like 6-7 years. And so we've grown pretty much everything out from extra small or small size plants with a few exceptions.
Okay, the last question, and then you can show us more plants, is from Jane.
Okay.
She would like to know, what are your current greenhouse parameters, like your temperature and humidity,
Okay.
because it's February and you're in the
Yes.
northern hemisphere?
Yes. So we actually changed things up this year. So I upped our airflow and I upped the temperatures. So our nighttime temperature here never drops below 55. And then during the day, I believe we'll go look at the control panel and see what the temperature is in here right now. So as you can see, hopefully the temperature in here is 76.7 right now, so that it's getting a little bit warm. That's what I was saying earlier is it's about time for us to turn the evaporative cool wall back on. Our relative humidity is 77%. So this is on the higher end temperature for us this time of year. I've got it set so that whenever it reaches 78 degrees, that the cooling measures will start. But it hasn't been getting that warm. It's just a slightly warmer, sunnier day here. So usually the temperature is between 68 and like 75 this time of year.
All right, very good. If you guys have more questions, type them in, but Hannah's going to show us around a little.
Also, if you have specific plants that you would like to see, be sure to let me know because there's not time to show everything. So I think I will show you guys. Let's see, let me get you turned around. So hopefully you can see this well. So this is our tenuous. This is the newest picture on it. And it looks like it has dropped all the other pictures, but it's a very long vine up there. I'm hoping that this will flower for us eventually because that would be really cool. And then right next to it, let me grab the ladder. Right next to that, we have a jambin that has a really nice picture. I just love jambin. I love all those like squat, toilety pictures. And let's see, this one's a pretty cool one too. So this is Phasiliana. Please forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But it holds on to a lot of pictures as well. And I feel like that's a pretty cool one that you don't see too terribly often. We have a couple, so I'm hoping that eventually those will flower for us as well. Now, I'm going to go back this way. So over here, I have several veitchii. So this is the Borneo Exotics BE 4021. Yeah. And we have two of those. I'm hoping that this one would flower female. That would be really lovely because most of our veitchii that have flowered are male. And then right next to it, I have another big one that needs to be repotted. It's also a 4021. So those are seed grown. And then gotta scooch the ladder. And then right here, this is a seed grown one that we got from Jeremiah Harris. It's the Batu Lawi location. And this was a basil that we separated off that actually flowered male. So this particular one is male. This one I'm really excited for it to get big. This is a Barrio Stripe. So this one I don't believe is a BE one. I believe that we got this from a nursery in Thailand. And whenever it opens, it has some stripes, but if you give it a lot of light, the whole peristome turns a really bright red, which is really cool. And there's one that just opened. This is the BE 3482. Gotta scooch the ladder again. And then probably one of my favorites. This one is one of our striped veitchii that has put on some decent size. And this one is 3734 from BE. I'm hoping that this one will flower also soon so that we can figure out whether it's male or female. But that's another reason why like we've kept so many veitchii and things like that, and also why we have so many spectabilis is because we do hope that we can start really breeding Nepenthes and making both horticultural seeds, so like pure species and different hybrids and things. And this one is really cool too. So this is Spectabilis cross tenuous. This is the 3884. And those are really cool, like very slender pictures, but they have pretty wide peristomes. Would you like me to pause here and
Yeah, you just have one question, and it is from Ryan. What stage of breeding are you at currently? How many crosses do you make a year?
so we're not where I would like to be. We had the potential to make a bunch of crosses and pure seeds this last year, but it's just Ashley and I. And Dalton is recently retired from the Air Force, so hopefully he's going to shift into helping more again soon. But it's all kind of like all we can do to keep up with the plant maintenance and to run the business and make sure that there's stuff on the website and we're shipping out orders in a timely fashion. So currently, we haven't made nearly as many as what I wish that we had, but we're hoping to step that up this year. So one of the things that we did just a couple weeks ago, or maybe about 2 months ago now, or so, I made a horticultural cross of our Aristolochoides. So we got some pure Aristo pollen, and I pollinated our female Aristo, and it looks like it took. So I'm very excited about that. So we'll hopefully have some seeds there. And then we will also hopefully be really hitting things hard in our lab to basically so that we can ensure that we get better germination and all of that. So
Can you talk a little bit about your lab?
yes, so our lab is basically we have a grow tent set up in about half of our garage, and that is where our lab is. So we have, you know, a laminar flow hood in there, an autoclave, all the things that you need to run a standard lab. And we have not done very much work in there in the last year. We've just had, like I said, we've had a lot on our plate, both with the business and personally, but we're getting a handle on all of those things and starting to have a little bit more free time. So we're hoping to kind of revamp that and get it to where we can work in there consistently and sustainably. And then once we have kind of our routine down, we will hopefully, like I said, be able to be in there more consistently and to actually utilize the lab to grow out some of these plants and then hopefully have those plants available in the future.
And you would be doing tissue culture of seeds or of seedlings?
So I feel like there's a lot of common misconceptions about tissue culture. And I could take the rest of our time just to talk about that, but we would do so we would be starting things from seed, and then basically just like you do in the greenhouse, right? Like if you have a seed grown plant and you want to take cuttings from that to produce a genetically identical plant, we would basically be doing that in the lab, but it's in sterile culture. So you have a higher success rate and it's easier to take cuttings from plants that are way smaller. So we don't utilize any kind of hormones or anything like that in our lab.
All right, one more question and then you can show us more.
Okay.
iPhone 2 asks, what crosses are you most excited to try to create, both hybrids or species?
Yes. So I'm really excited. I want to make a horticulturally pure mollis. So I'm, you know, holding out hope that we got lucky there and we'll have a male and female. But that may be a few more years before that happens. But it's also possible that we could get pollen from someone else or send pollen to someone else to do that. What else? VGI is an exciting one. So both whether pure or a hybrid. And then I haven't done it yet, but I am going to do it. We have this Spectabilis VGI from Borneo Exotics. So this is the 3664. And I don't remember if this is seed grown or not, but I feel like that this is one of the nicest specimens that I've seen. And so I would love to back cross this to Veitchii to hopefully get a more squat pitcher with a wider peristome. This is probably the one that I would use because I collected a bunch of pollen off this flower here this year.
I just looked it up and it says that 3664 is a large selection of different clones.
Okay, so yeah, we definitely got lucky with this one because like I said, it's one of the nicer ones that I've seen.
So, you know, I personally love lowland Nepenthes, and you have beautiful
Yeah,
highland Nepenthes. Can you show us your non-Nepenthes? We have about 20 minutes left. Can you show us like your Heliumphoras or anything else
yeah,
that you
I
have?
can. So like I said, we just did some divisions on our Heliumphora. So we have, let's see. So we have some Heliumphora here. So this is Heterodoxa cross nutans. And so what we did here is these are in pure perlite, sitting in a deep water tray. And I think Dalton puts a little bit of granite just as topping on those. We're also experimenting with some of the stratum to grow those in. And then here I have a Magnifica. And we also have lots of cephs that we are growing in pure perlite. Dalton also has an experimental mix back there. But I love Heliumphora. And then we have these desperately need to be repotted, but we have some cobra lilies or Darlingtonia. And then you can see some more Heliumphora under there. And this is all kind of temporary. We're working on reworking our water table situation so that it will be much nicer. And then I have a bunch of pings. So this is a ping rock. Believe it or not, there is a rock under there. This is the ping rock that I did, I think about 2 or 3 years ago that has been taken over with Gigantea. Then I have a couple more pings here that need to be divided and repotted. And so this is just kind of a glimpse at our tray situation. So this is basically where we propagate and do all our leaf pullings for pings and things. So I'm hoping to step our game up with those again this year.
For those ping trays, when you
Yes.
do the leaf pulls, does it literally look just like a tray with rows of leaves? Right.
Yeah.
And
It
then
basically looks like you let a toddler go through and just murder your pings. And it's kind of scary for a little while, but we've had really great success and it works really well for us. So, and then I guess I can talk about our mix in here. So I kind of just mix whatever we have on hand. So like this tray has a little bit of sand, a little bit of peat, and some perlite. And this is more of a mineral mix. So there's like a clay base. I think it's actually like truly cat litter. Uh, just like an all clay cat litter. And then we have perlite and there's some granite and I think a little bit of sand in there. So pings are not picky because, you know, they have tiny little root systems and they basically just grow on top of whatever. So I just try to make sure that I have something that will retain a little bit of moisture, but be pretty well draining, at least for the like Mexican pings. So, and then let's see. I don't know if you guys like flowers, but I do have lots of flowers right now. So this is, I have no idea what kind. It's very fragrant, but it's a Cattleya that we bought, you know, from Lowe's, rescued it from the death rack probably 6 years ago. And we have tons of divisions. But we also have some Taphiopedilums. So this is I will spare you my pronunciation, but this is what that one is. And then I have lots of Masdevallias and Draculas as well. So this is a Masdevallia that Dalton actually got me for Christmas. Dropping things. And then I have my orchid wall here. And let's see. Where did it go? I have this one right here. So this is something from Peru. I'm not sure if you guys can see that tag. My ID with orchids is not as good as Nepenthes, but these flowers are so tiny. I love the miniature flowers. So.
Last week I was at a sale and people were looking at this plant and they were saying that it was a miniature orchid. And I had to tell them that it was a terrestrial utricularia.
Well, you know, they're in the same kind of family, so I could see they do have very orchid-like flowers. It's always funny though when you see people that make those like jumps.
Mhm.
So
They
I don't.
They bought it regardless, so I did not mind.
That's fine. I also have a massive Monstera Thai constellation. She's about to get repotted and moved to the front because she's just been kind of thrown back here. And then I know you said not Nepenthes, but I need to show you guys this. This is our striped seed-grown Velosa VTI from Borneo Exotics. And I don't know, it's just incredible. I love the toothy peristome with the stripes. And I showed this one recently on our story. So this is our Raja. It's got a basil with some pictures on it. This is one that I feel like I have historically struggled with. But it's doing well for us now. So trying to think, does anybody else have like a special request? Is there a species that you want to see or
Yeah, not
anything
yet,
else that you would like?
but we have 10 minutes left, so we can definitely go back to the Nepenthes, but I wanted to make sure we got a broad range to see everything that's in your greenhouse.
Yes. Oh, I should show you the inermis also. I'm going to show you some more toilety pictures, but this is our inermis. It has tons of pictures on it. It's very viney. I need to take some cuttings. But it's such a cool species. And definitely be careful because that pitcher fluid is very viscous, very snot-like. And then another one that I feel like is pretty cool and you don't see very often is Nepenthes pitopangii. So we have a pitopangii that has a pretty long vine, and it's growing in our cocoa mix and just overall doing very well for us. So, but that's a pretty cool species. They look like little fairy lanterns.
For a collection that's this large, can you talk a bit about how you go through it and trim off the dead leaves and the dead pitchers? Are you doing like a section a week? Are you just taking care of it when you're pulling plants to ship out? How do
Yes.
you know, what have you
So,
learned is the best way to maintain this many plants?
so you see that woman back there? She's amazing. And she is the reason that all of that gets done in any kind of organized fashion because when I come out here and work, it can be a little bit chaotic, but Ashley is very good at coming up with plans and organizing things. And so she's helped us start a rotation. And so basically we have either 1 or 2 tables a week that we go through. And by we, I mean, generally Ashley goes through and does all the weeding and trimming up plants and getting them ready for sale and that kind of thing. And so we just included now the collection plants. So if there's anything that needs to be repotted, trimmed, cuttings taken, that kind of thing, then as we get to that row, all of that gets done. And so she's finally made her first sweep through everything, because I think it took about 8 weeks for us to work our way through the entire collection and make sure that everything got repotted, and trimmed and staked up and all that kind of thing. So get yourself an Ashley is my my biggest advice. Get yourself a friend who will help you organize your life. So I was trying to think if there was anything else
iPhone
that I
2,
wanted to be sure.
iPhone
Yes,
2 would like to know if you have Aristoleucoides times Spectabilis times Aristoleucoides.
yes, I do. So I don't think I have one actually in our collection, but we do have some of those. Let me flip you around again. But we do have some of those that we got on our most recent import. So this one actually has a little picture there. And I think all of the other ones are in the process of making pictures. So once those all have pictures and all, we will actually have some of these for sale, and I'll be selling them as specimens just because there is a lot of variation. And that way people can be sure that they're getting exactly what they want. So, and then if you would like to see some pure Aristoleucoides, I do have some up here. Let's see. So this one has some cute little pictures. Ooh, well, get out of there. There we go. You can see those. So this one is from Wistuba. And then we have one of their new location ones right here, but as you can tell, it is very tiny still. And then this is our female Aristoleucoides. It's got a nice upper picture on it right there. And as you can see, there's the flowers that I pollinated that they look like they took, so cross your fingers. And hopefully we'll have some of that available soon. But then here's kind of just a brief overview. Okay, get down off this ladder.
All right, Hannah. Dragon's Rule asks, I have a 6-foot tall, very healthy ampullaria. Should I take
Ooh.
cuttings or leave it be?
So that's totally personal preference. I think it's super cool to have plants that are that tall. So like if you have the space to let it just do its thing, that's probably what I would do. But you know, if you want to make a few extra dollars, you can always take cuttings and root them and sell them, or even sell them as unrooted cuttings. So
Do you have any intermediate plants that have bicalcarata or ampullaria in their parentage?
so I do have some. We unfortunately had to close down our lowland greenhouse and did not have the funds to open a new lowland greenhouse here. So we had some huge, beautiful bicals and things that we unfortunately lost, just because we couldn't keep them warm enough and I couldn't sell them fast enough, because it was winter was already here. And so anyway, but hopefully that's going to change here soon. But I do have some, let's see, right here, I have, so these are Ampillaria cross VGI cross Lowii, the 4027 from BE, and they're so cute. They have the little, Ampillaria, little tubby pitchers with the lid that sticks out straight. And they've got some little stripes there and speckling, and definitely have the like Ampillaria growth pattern. So I haven't grown any of these out to large size, but they are very cute, I feel like, for what they are. And I think that they'll be some pretty nice plants. And then I do have one Ampillaria Black Miracle that I've been trying to hold on to. It is not in the best of shape, but I'm hoping that I can hang on to it until we have a better setup for lowland plants. So I was
right.
trying to think what.
Well, we're almost out of time, but if you can think of something else, feel free to show us. iPhone
Okay.
asks, now this is a different person than iPhone 2. This is iPhone probably 1.
Okay.
They said, I see different colored plant tags. Do the colors mean anything? And then my question was, do you organize everything by number or do you just remember where things are? And
Um,
when you get the import, do you sit on them for 6 weeks or as soon as they're ready? And how does it all work?
so the different color plant tags would be that I dropped the ball and didn't order more tags. So we just kind of had to use what we have. But it is helpful because like we got, I think on this last import, we got like 4 different maxima that have different BE numbers. So we tried to assign a different color to each of those so that it's not as easy for people like me to pull the wrong plant. Because that's something that, in our, basically in the back end of our web store, we can note that, this particular maxima has a pink tag or a blue tag or whatever. So there's no real reason, but that was kind of an added benefit. And then as far as having things organized like by number, we don't really. I'm sure that Ashley would love to have more of an organized system than what we do have. But we've kind of just had to make space wherever we can make space right now. But as we continue to sell down through plants, we're going to work on putting some of the new stuff with some of the older stuff that we have that's like the same BE number so that everything's kind of more in one place. But for the most part, we remember where things are. And Dalton has the best memory when it comes to all of that. It's crazy because he can spend, an hour out here and then you can ask him like, oh, do you remember where that got moved? And he'll be like, yeah, 3rd table on the left in the aisle. How did you do that? But I did want to show you guys this maxima. It just opened this picture and it's super nice. So this is the 3067 from Borneo Exotics. Let's see, there we go. As you can see 2 of the open pictures. And it's very nice. So I was trying to think. I feel like I've been all over the place. And this one is pretty cool too. I'll show you guys this one too. So this is the it's Nepenthes clipiata cross ventricosa. And that one is pretty cool. And it grows very well and very easily for us. So I do also have, they need to be weeded, but I do also have several clipiata So our hope with this is that we'll end up with male and female and can make horticulture seeds. They're not super happy right now because it's winter, but we're fixing to repot all these guys and probably move them a little bit forward in the greenhouse again and see if they like that a little bit better.
All right, we're almost out of time. We'll do one more question. Dragon's Rule asks, do you have any pure Hamada? I have two, and their growth does not look very healthy.
Yes, so we do have some Hamada. Let's see, let me move my ladder. I believe that I have, I'm knocking stuff over. I believe I have one here on the table. Yes. So it's starting to vine. So it's putting more effort into vining than it is pitchering right now. But there's a pitcher that is in the process of opening. And let's see. This is the Lamute clone 2. But I do have some more up here. So this is our BE 3380 Hamada. It's got some really nice pictures. This one had a long vine, but we cut it and took some cuttings. And now it's started to produce a bunch of basils. So it's got, I think, 3 basils there now. And then let's see. This one doesn't have a picture on it right now, but it is flowering male, which is exciting. But this is our Hamada Edwardsiana. So I guess that might be this one, and the other one might be the only Hamada that we have right now.
Do you have any tips for Dragon's Rule about what Hamada's like and how to get them to grow new healthy leaves or pitchers?
So I can also provide more help if we run out of time here. So if we do, message us on Facebook, Instagram, email us, whatever, and we can definitely help you troubleshoot. But Hamada likes to stay pretty wet, I feel like, compared to most Nepenthes. And they also like it a fair bit shadier. So I feel like mine are not super good examples of that right now because everything is a little bit overlit in here. But if you have, like if you're using lights to grow, or that kind of thing, just make sure you move it to a slightly shadier spot. And then I would have it in a little bit denser of a mix. So if you're using long fiber sphagnum moss, that would be good. Or if you're using a cocoa-based mix, like what we are, you can add a little bit more peat moss. Or just be sure that you water a little bit more frequently. But those would be my main things without actually seeing the plant and knowing specifically what's going on.
All right, I think we're out of time.
Okay.
Because we all need to get back to our nursery and take care of our plants. So thank you so much, Hannah and Pearl River Exotics,
you're
for
welcome.
showing us around. And can you, so your name is Pearl, your nursery is Pearl River Exotics. Can you tell us your social media and website?
Yes, so we're pearlriverexotics.com, and then on both Instagram and Facebook, we are just Pearl River Exotics.
All right, very good. Nice and easy. Thank you, everyone who attended this live.
You guys.
Thank you, Hannah. And Bernard says, thank you very much. And Dragon's Rule says, thank you. This was very great. And iPhone 1 says, thank you. And you're getting lots of other thank yous. And we hope everyone can join us on our next ICPS webinar.
It's not a surprise that gardeners, educators, and scientists are fascinated by these unique plants. The International Carnivorous Plants Society, or ICPS, not only love these plants, but welcomes growers just getting started all the way through professional scientists. The ICPS even started an annual World Carnivorous Plant Day to celebrate them. The free online event is held the first Wednesday of May. Take a look around our website and you'll find historic documents about carnivorous plants, growing guides, free educational resources, and more. Have questions? Ask. We don't bite, but our plants do.